Tool number 2, cupping. Our cups are unique, and the cups are unique because we have this door handle on the top, but unique in a great way. The idea of me cupping the shoulder, remember, now I'm going to something that instead of it compressing the tissue, I'm going to create decompression. But that lift in that tissue is going to facilitate space, fascial space, and maybe to a degree, change some of the fluid dynamics of that underlying system where it's congested. So what I'm going to do with these cups is we're going to work through the same concepts: external glide, internal glide, and then motion. Here's what I want you to see first, though. And I'm just going to use your arm to do this. So I'm going to have you turn to the camera this way. Cupping can be, again, uncomfortable. There are people I had a patient last night that has this downstream sensitivity. Everything we do when we put our hands on our skin is sensitive. The idea of putting the cup on with full force would be painful. So you can essentially grade the application of these cups. The first thing you can do is what we consider a pre-plunge application. So I just take this, pre-plunge it, put it on the skin. That's a lower grade application. The second way I can do it is to place it on the skin and plunge it on the skin. That's the second level of application. Third application, which I use in most cases, is an inversion. So I'm going to take the cup, I'm going to invert it and apply it to the skin. So I'm going to box the shoulder. And I just did this afternoon with a patient. I'm going to put a cup here, 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 and here. I'm going to box the shoulder so I create this decompressive axis over this joint. And again, if she came into my office and we worked through something as simple as a painful arc, or I did a NIRS test, whatever we want to do as an ortho. I mean, I do more movement screens than I do orthos, but fair enough. I can maybe do something to essentially affect changes in the underlying distance or space so that the supraspinatus tendon, the tendon itself, has a little more space under which to operate. Can I change how it moves under the shell? That impingement sign may be affected by just changing some of the tissue length around the joint and changing that decompressive axis around which we're working. So I'm going to take 4 cups. I'm going to apply them around the shoulder. Here. I'm going to say this again. The color that the cup leaves is in no way indicative of anything. Some people there'll be a discoloration within seconds. Other people, you could leave the cup on for minutes and there's no change. There's no indication that the color of the cup indicates anything. And you'll see cups, the cup marks on everybody at this point. So I'm going to invert them all. This is a more aggressive one, but she's fine. She's had cups on before. One on top. One on the posterior shoulder. And then so I just want you to turn to the camera so they can see it. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do, now we're going to work from the same principles. We're going to create first an external glide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cups and I'm going to pump on the cups. This is a really, really simple way to desensitize the tissue. And if someone's uncomfortable with cupping, this is very, very soothing to do this. And I can pump in the cups again to create a decompressive force and maybe change some of the underlying fluid dynamics. Now what I'm going to do is create this glide or shear on tissue. And I come back to the Longevin study, essential study to understand. People with pain, low back pain, it doesn't mean it's the only place people get pain. Low back pain has a definitive correlation to the idea that when the thoracolumbar fascia loses that shear, pain is expressed. It's a lack of sensory input, and as a result, the brain perceives threat. So if all I do is create shear around this axis or these applications, the cup's going to make a big difference. I'm going to shear around this axis. Take the cups here and motion here. So that's considered an external glide. And now what I'm going to have Lisa do is exactly what we did before. I'm going to have you start to move through ranges of motion. I want you to come overhead, back down. I want you to go behind your back, come up in front, and all again, motion matters. And so the beauty of what I believe is uniquely proprietary about our cupping is the idea that we're integrating movement around the cupping process. And then I can even bring her into positions where I can actively assist range of motion. Bring her through internal, external rotation, and you will be surprised at how quickly you can restore some of these parameters just by virtue of applying cup around a motor pattern or a pattern or movement that's somehow impaired. Again, she doesn't have anything that's impaired. Her external rotation is wonderful and that end range feels great. So that's considered an internal drag by virtue of what I'm doing with the cup. And then the last piece of the puzzle, which I think is amazing, is the idea that you can start here. I want you to come overhead 3 or 4 times. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack the strategy. So she's going to move internal glide, and I'm going to assign external glide as she moves. So come back down and go over top. This is a really, really good way to connect the dots on both internal glide and external glide, and this feels amazing for most patients. All right. Come over top. Perfect. Okay. So I'll pull those off. Those are our cups, our rock pods. I want to demonstrate one other thing. And before I say this, I'm going to show you these cups. They are currently not available. They're out of stock. And there's a reason. They're amazingly cool. So what we did at Rock Tape, we have a course called Vibrational Specialists. And what it does is it looks at the effects of vibration on the nervous system. The broader premise is this. Lower frequency vibration is in essence down-regulating, soothing, and a higher frequency, a higher vibrational frequency is up-regulating. This is incredibly effective for the shoulder, and let's just look at it from this perspective. Let's just assume that Lisa is in a position of internal rotation. So we know, given her position, that we're probably going to have some very tonic muscular on the front axis. So the pectoral axis, anterior deltoid, all of this is going to be really, really tight. What we know on the back is we have everything locked long, but it doesn't mean it's strong. It's weak. It's deactivated. It's poorly activated. If all we do with the cup is create some input to the system and then vibration, the vibration can make a difference. So here's what we're going to do. These are vibrational cups. And what you'll see in the vibrational cups, you'll see, if you can see this, perfect. There's 3 frequencies. And so based on what we just discussed, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply a cup to the anterior wall of the shoulder here. And I'm going to apply a cup to the back. And if all holds true as to my discussion or explanation about vibration, I'm going to leave this at 1. I'm going to put this on at 3. The effects of cupping are still sustainable. I'm doing all the things I talked about with cupping. I'm just stacking another stimulus into this process. So basically, I'm going to use the cups. I'm going to rotate through. There's a second degree of input, that being the frequency or the vibration that I'm assigning to the shoulder. And I can do all the things I did before. Again, external glide, internal glide by way of motion. And I can have Lisa move through every range of motion possible. I think this is a game changer for cupping. I teach for Cupping Canada. I teach with Paul Kohlmeyer. His cupping courses are brilliant. This is just a different kind of perspective, or again, a different lens on the same tool. And I think if we use vibrational cupping or these really funky rock pods with regards to how we use the internal external drag, I think we'd make a big change in the shoulder. Tool number 2.